Hundreds of years ago, a merchant boarded a ship in Crete bound for Italy. Now, he was confident of a safe voyage because he was carrying in his possessions an icon he had stolen of the Mother of God, which the church in Crete adored as the Star of the Sea. What this merchant didn't know was that the Blessed Virgin Mary would ultimately take this stolen property and use this icon to reveal her perpetual help to the faithful throughout the world. By day's end, the voyage turned treacherous when a severe storm suddenly arose, threatening all on board the ship with death. However, the merchant thief was not the first to be threatened with death on the sea voyage from Crete to Italy. In the Acts of the Apostles, St. Luke describes a similar excursion taken by St. Paul, who was traveling from Crete to Italy to stand trial before Caesar. The episode entails their setting sail for Rome, the weather turning treacherous, their coming and continuing the voyage despite wise advice to do otherwise, and their ship being shipwrecked without any casualties. It was St. Paul's prayer that eventually saved all the travelers from death. Encouraging all on board, St. Paul addressed them with these words: "This very night there stood by me an angel of God who said, 'Do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand before Caesar, and lo, God has granted safety to all those who sail with you.'" It was by the coastland of Malta that the ship struck a sandbar, and even though the waves completely demolished the ship, all the travelers were saved. Now, the ship on which the merchant thief was traveling would have suffered the same fate if it had not been for the miraculous icon of the Most Holy Mother of God. During the height of the storm, the merchant encouraged all on board the ship to pray to the Star of the Sea for protection. And no sooner had everyone placed their confidence in her help and committed their lives to her patronage that the sky cleared up and the tumultuous waves calmed down. Joy and gratitude filled everyone on the ship, and the storm didn't hurt anyone. And the strong wind, now blowing harder, brought that ship safely to the Italian harbor. If you look closely at the icon of our Mother Perpetual Help, you'll notice a golden star with sharp rays that shine right above her forehead on her veil. A similar star is depicted on numerous ancient icons of the Mother of God, either above her forehead or on her shoulder. Mary was called the star, and the star reminds us of her holy name. Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, again, tells us she's worthy of the name Mary, which means Star of the Sea. As a sailor reaches the harbor led by the Star of the Sea, so does Mary direct every Christian soul to the glory of heaven. I'd like to read to you a letter that was written to me by a man years ago, which really describes his stormy voyage. Up until the age of 30, I was a faithful Catholic. Then, unfortunately, I became negligent and stepped onto the dangerous path of sin, which almost led me to insanity. Every month, I approached the sacraments, confession, and the Holy Eucharist, but with only one reason: to preserve my good image in the eyes of my confessor. When I was alone, I would sometimes recall the happiness that I had experienced in my childhood and teenage years, and then a deep sigh would come over me. What happened to me? Where is the joy that I felt in the past whenever I thought about God and His love? Where is the peace in my heart? But the voice of passion would stifle those good thoughts. I sinned for many years, Externally, my life was perfect, but within, I was totally corrupt. I did not want to make a good confession. I concealed my sins. However, I did not stop praying. My inner turmoil began to grow. I beseeched God not to let me die in sin, hoping that I would be heard. Despite this, when I went to confession, shame would stop me from confessing my true sins. Satan had his grip over me, and I did not benefit from God's grace. In the end, I decided to entrust myself to our Mother Perpetual Help, believing that she would miraculously help me obtain mercy. In the course of several weeks, I fervently prayed to her. And every time I prayed, I would firmly resolve to find a priest that did not know me and reveal my conscience to him. But all was in vain. One day, kneeling before the miraculous icon of the Mother Perpetual Help, I heard a voice in my heart telling me to confess all that I had concealed for over 30 years. I got up and went to confession. However, that frightful fight between nature and grace started all over again. I felt a strong aversion to reveal everything. But as I continued to pray to our Mother Perpetual Help, God's grace prevailed. I admitted everything. My confessor, encouraging me with his questions to be fully honest, helped me to make a good confession. And finally, he pronounced the words I longed to hear. I absolve you from your sins. Jesus Christ has pardoned you. Filled with happiness, I told my confessor, may God reward you. God had waited for me for such a long time so that he could clearly show me his mercy. O Mother of Perpetual Help, glory and praise to you for everything you have done for me. And if your soul is the same, if it is in a poor state that like mine was, flee to our Mother of Perpetual Help, and you will certainly experience her mercy. Pope Benedict XVI, in his encyclical Saved by Hope, offers this beautiful exhortation on who can help us through our storms. He writes, "Life is like a voyage on the sea of history, often dark and stormy. A voyage in which we watch for the stars that indicate the route. Certainly, Jesus Christ is the true light, the sun that has risen above the shadows of history. But to reach Jesus, we also need lights close by, people who shine with his light and so guide us along our way. Who more than Mary could be a star of hope for us? So we cry out to her, Star of the sea, shine upon us and guide us on our way. Let us all flee to Mary, the star of the sea, with our plea for her perpetual help. For if ever we needed her perpetual help, we need it now.